So as I said in the last video, if you watch all of these and are observant at all, you will notice that this video looks a lot like the VEDA 22 video, and that's because I'm doing them at the same time. My name is Kara, and I really did forget what I wanted to talk about in this video, but I think I remembered, but now I'm not sure I want to do that. I wanted to do a really sarcastic, snarky video about how to communicate with people, but then I realized that it's really not as easy as it sounds, because for me, it's as simple as making noise come out of my mouth region, but there are people who don't communicate with their voice, and I didn't want to take time to make it a serious thing, because, wow, communication really is a serious thing, guys. You got your verbal communication, you got your nonverbal communication, you have voice, you have sign language, you have multiple languages, there's text, written communication, there's just, wow. So I'm not going to do that snarky little how-to video that I had the idea playing in my mind to do, but I do want to talk to you about communication. So for the purposes of this video, for all intents and purposes, I like that phrase. Just remember in the back of your mind that as I'm talking about this, I am referring to any way that you can communicate with people, preferably face-to-face. If you must on the phone, things like that are better than text-based written things in this situation, but I am also including things like sign language and however else you can communicate with a person face-to-face, whether it's using your mouth words or not. Here, that was a David Abram. David Abram does that. It was really cool. He would always make a point and then just clap to transition. Well, the idea is this. A lot of what I do is communication. Okay, can we say that? I mean, I make videos, I blog, I text people, I don't know, I communicate with people a lot on the internet, in my personal life, in the theater, when I worked in the office, just in class in general. A lot of what I do is talking to people. I love to talk to people, I love to talk. If you've ever heard me talk about my chakra test results, you've heard me probably talk about the chakra tests in the past. My throat chakra has always been, overactive. Imagine that. I talk too much. I know some people don't consider it to be too much, but I talk a lot. It's what I do. I like to talk, I like to communicate. I don't really know exactly where I picked it up. I think maybe somewhere along the line I was taught how to communicate well, and there are definitely ways that you can learn how to communicate well, such as maybe guest speakers coming to your school to talk about communication, open communication, honest communication. Maybe you learn it from your parents, maybe you just pick it up from your friends and the way that you see works in the world. I don't really know where it comes from. I don't know if I just developed it on my own because that's how my person was always meant to be, or if it is something that I was taught at some point. But I look around the world and I notice, especially recently, that some people seem to have just never learned how to properly communicate. For example, the people in my life right now, some of them are super good communicators, and others are not so much. Picture this for a second. You get into a fight with your friend. Not a fight, you get upset with your friend, and you don't say anything to them at all about it, okay? In your mind, you're in a fight, but you never told that person that you were upset, so really you're not in a fight, you're just kind of fighting yourself. So then you just get madder and madder and madder, and they still have no idea that they did anything wrong. That causes a problem. How do you solve that problem? Go to your other friends and bitch about your friend that you're mad at. Obviously, you go and you tell everyone else how mad you are at that person, but you never say anything to them. What you should do is go to that friend. And what do you do when you go to that friend? You yell and scream in their face because they're just so terrible, and how dare they? Say it with me, boys and girls. No, that's a bad way to go about it. What you should do is go to that person and as calmly as you possibly can, tell them, hey, I had a problem with this thing, I was really upset, let's work it out. Because two things really can happen there. Either that person really did something that was terrible to you and they should become aware of it so that they can apologize and not do it again in the future if they really don't want to hurt you again. Or maybe it turns out that they didn't actually do something nearly as bad as what you thought and you just kind of internalized it and made it into this terrible thing all on your own. Kind of like Groucho Marx did in Duck Soup. He just imagines this situation where the other guy insults him to his face, and when the guy walks into the room, he pretends that that all has happened, and then he gets mad at the guy. Some people just make up scenarios in their own mind and then they act on them without ever actually communicating with the other person. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is not a good way to communicate. I've had this happen to me in the past and very recently as well. There are just sometimes that people get upset with me about something that I supposedly did, and then they'll just be mad at me for a really long time, but they'll never actually come to me to find out what really happened. And some of the time it might be that I really did something, but especially recently, I don't think it ever really has been. And the thing that would just really be helpful is to sit down with people that you have a problem with and talk about the problem. That's how communication works. That's how problem solving is done. If you ever go to a mediator to have a problem solved, I've done that. They make you talk. You have to sit down in the same room and you talk it out. You don't scream at people. You don't punch them in the face, at least not for most situations where it really can just be worked out by talking. I just find it to be really remarkable, because when situations like this happen, I always want to go and walk into the room and stand in front of that person and say, hey, tell me what's wrong. Tell me to my face so I can help you work it out. And don't ever feel afraid to do so. I've had that happen too. One of my friends in the past thought that I was really, really mad at them and wouldn't come to me about it because they were so afraid that I was mad. I wasn't even mad, but they never came to me to figure that out, you know? So it'll be better for you, and it'll be better for the other person or persons. It'll just be better for everyone involved to communicate. And so I have to laugh at it. I just look around the world and I see people not communicating well at all, and I'm just like, when did it become a thing not to speak to people or communicate with them in whatever way that you can? I think it's just really funny. Many kids learn how to talk and never really learn how to say anything. As the Scarecrow said in The Wizard of Oz, people without brains do an awful lot of talking. There is a difference between talking and saying stuff. And I hope that most of the time I'm saying stuff. Thank you very much for listening to the stuff that I say. I will see you guys next time, and until then, keep on talking. I used to do my sign out with that. I tried that out for a while. I didn't like it as much as what I have now, but keep on talking, keep on communicating, and don't forget to be awesome. Blessed be, and goodbye.